Okay, the Zoom in between Wall and Main is live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is Friday, January 22nd, 2016, and we are getting well underway into the year, and we're honored to have our guests with us today, 17 Hats. Ryan, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time. Loving the view from your window. Is that beautiful downtown Pasadena?
Oh, downtown Pasadena, the mountains, everything. Yeah, totally real. People ask us if that's green screen all the time, but that's
the real deal. I can vouch for it. I was almost there, but I saw the pictures, and the pictures definitely weren't green screen.
I mean, it's almost as cool as having 4 cats.
By the way, for those of you watching, I downloaded the registration report just before we went live. So if you registered at the last minute and indicated that you wanted to be a panelist and you're not a panelist, it's because you indicated so after I downloaded the last registration report. So just indicate in the chat that you'd like to be a panelist, and I will make you a panelist. It's a manual process. I have to click on your name from the list and say, make them a panelist. And if I pronounce that wrong, it could sound altogether.
Yes, we need an even 6 here. So.
Yeah, it's a little, our sense of balance is a little off kilter.
Thank you. Help me out.
I got to do this. So also, this brand new, I created a poll question for everyone. It's really simple. Do you currently use 17 Hats? So if you wouldn't mind chiming in and answering yes or no. I couldn't have made it much easier. You just 2 choices, yes or no. Pick one, answer it. We'd love to get a sense of what our audience looks like here. Not in the chat, but if you go to the bottom of your screen, the same place where you click to access the chat, you'll see Q&A. So if you wouldn't mind answering there, this way I can download the statistics later and let Ryan know how many of our people are using 17 Hats versus how many might start using 17 Hats, hopefully, after today's show. I love to be able to provide good information to my friends. So we're about to get started. Ryan, do you want to start off by telling us just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and whom you do it for?
Oh, wow. Who am I, what I do, and who I do it for? Well, first, real quick, thank you again for having me. Now that I have a chance, this is really cool. There aren't very many things I'd wake up for and be at 8 o'clock. Startup people typically aren't up at 8 o'clock. But as far as who I am, so my name is Ryan Groves. I'm the Director of Communication and Education for 17 Hats, which is who I work for, and work for our lovely CEO, Donovan Janus. What was that last question?
Who you are, what you do, who you do it for. And I turned off the enter-exit chime thing, by the way, so sorry about that. No longer annoy people or make people drool for that matter.
Okay, I really appreciate that. No, so I do it for 17 Hats, which for those of you who don't know or are not familiar, is a wonderful software platform designed to help people manage all the aspects of their business. Everything from from getting the lead to really nurturing that relationship into a client, and then helping you take care of all those 30 or 40 things you're doing for every client, so you're not chasing around details, but you're free to go and do the stuff you love and the things that make you money. And so I get to wake up every day and help people who have these dreams make that dream a reality or make it better. So it's a pretty amazing job.
And so tell us a little bit about the sort of background of how 17 Hats came to be. Somebody, Donovan, I imagine, came up with the idea for it. Something must have happened that caused him to feel there was a void that needed to be filled, and he set out to fill it. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you about that. And it's kind of fun. 17 Hats, it started with a love story, if you will. So Donovan's wife was a teacher, and finally made the jump. Said, being a teacher is frustrating. There's layoffs every year. The stress was sensational. So she made that jump, and she became a photographer. And it was really exciting to see her become a professional wedding photographer. She had a great gift, but then the more successful she became, the worse all the business management issues became. And they were just totally sideswiped by the stress from it was, managing, I've never had to manage invoicing and bookkeeping and contracts, let alone trying to keep track of all the details of all the different clients and all the different leads. And so, it was that joke of, she was running a small business and then occasionally doing photography on the side. And saw her going through this, and just, this is the, by then it was 2012, 2013, and surely there had to be a better way with all of our solutions. And there was a one-off app for everything, but that was a problem because she was having to go to multiple websites to do one thing and do multiple data entry, and it made her life more chaotic, not less. And so, being the wonderful supportive husband that he was, he made a program. Don was a programmer, and he made a program to help her organize and automate all the things that she was doing for her business. And then she looked at him and she was like, "Hey, this works pretty well. You should think about selling it." And that was the genesis of 17 Hats, was Donovan responding to seeing his wife go through all these pain points that we each have experienced in running our own business. And then from there, realizing it wasn't just photographers. It was bookkeepers and accountants. It was consultants and life coaches. It was event planners, florists, birthday party clowns, you name it. There are all these people, and we have this brand new, creative class. We're this entrepreneurial generation, the most entrepreneurial generation in history, by the way, with this growing freelancer economy. And we thought, why not make a system so that the people who have the dream, have the vision, people like Donovan's wife, they never have to worry about the issues and details and minutia of running their business. They're free to go run it. And that was how 17 Hats came about. And it's still that same sort of philosophy that guides us, not just the big abstract, how do we help people, but also just we need to make the product work, or the boss's wife isn't happy. So,
so that's great. I mean, that's a lot like how Intuit themselves got started.
Yeah.
Got Cook seeing his wife struggling to balance the checkbook, and so he created software to help make her life easier. I love that. Yeah. By the way, I misspoke a few minutes ago. I told some of you to use the Q&A to answer the poll question, but I meant to tell you to use the poll to answer the poll question.
Where is it?
It's at the bottom of your screen. Same place where you would click to access the chat. You'll see where it says polls. It's very tricky. It's a trick question.
Don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Mm-mm.
Maybe because we're panelists. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it says launch polling. So maybe if I
That might help.
8 in the
we
morning.
go.
Yeah, 8 in the morning, folks.
There it goes.
It says host and panelists can't vote.
Oh,
Boo.
boo!
We're
all right,
not-
I'll demote you all to viewer only.
Never mind.
Well, you know what? You all can chime in live.
Yeah.
How many of us here live use 17 Hats?
Not
I use
yet.
17 Hats. It's
Yeah.
all Joanne's fault.
And for those of you still watching from home, not a panelist, if you'd like to be a panelist, just let me know in the chat and I will promote you. But bear with me. If we're in the middle of a conversation, I may not be able to do it. I'm only so good at doing two things at once, chewing gum and walking, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So, Ryan, let's get down to business now, because
Let's do it.
I know that most of the people here live, as well as those of us kids watching from home, are either accountants or bookkeepers. So
Mhm.
let's get right down to brass tacks here. How does 17 Hats help bookkeepers?
Oh man, I think it helps bookkeepers in two ways. One, we can help a bookkeeper because what you're doing is you're running a small business, and you know far better than I do. It's not just about your business is crunching numbers and making things balance out, but your business is working with people. And so there's two ways we can look at this. It's how we help bookkeepers, and then of course how we help you help your clients. I think those are two really, really important things to understand, because the more we can help you help your clients, and the better our lives are going to be all around. Specifically, how we help bookkeepers is we have a guiding philosophy of keeping things simple. And so how we would help a bookkeeper is they're trying to manage client relationships. It's about when they get a lead in, when they have a new prospective client, gosh, I mean, think about it. There are probably 10, 20, 30 steps that you're going through before you're ever crunching the numbers. It's it's all the communication to turn that new request into a client. It's from there being able to send out here the proposals, getting the contract signed, getting the invoice paid so you can actually start working and get paid for it. And so with that, we have an all-in-one system that takes care of it. Everything from, creating, a lead capture tool that you can plug in anywhere, and website, email, social media, to, even the more advanced things. We have workflows that you can create that you can totally customize that are more than just a giant to-do list. They're designed to be, you can customize it to be not only reminders for the stuff that you need to do, but we have this really powerful system that's able to send out emails for you, questionnaires for you, but it can send out proposals and contracts and invoices, and you can be free to be working with your clients or doing the actual data crunching that you need to do or love to do. And that system's running, and it's taking care of all the rest for you. So simplifying your life to free you up to go do what you want to do is just core. And
if you don't mind, Ryan, let me chime in real quick on that, because I was telling you recently, just for context for everyone else, I had dinner with Ryan and Donovan just about a week or so ago. And we were talking about the product. I've been now through the product myself. I dug in deep. I set up a workflow. And in fact, I used the onboarding process as the example because it seemed the obvious thing to do. That's the first thing you want to do is bring a client in. And then you can, once you get that down, it's very easy to now figure out how to set up other automated processes, right? Yeah. So one of the things I loved was the contract signing piece of it.
Yeah.
And somebody was asking in the Between Wall and Main group yesterday about having an automated engagement letter process, which is the same thing, right? Our engagement letter in accounting and bookkeeping is our contract for all intents and purposes. So I love how you get to automate the process. Once you reach that step, there's going to be some other things that need to happen first. You'll need maybe client's approval. You need to gather information from the client, if you haven't already, to make sure that you can populate the contract with the information you need. And if you're using 17 Hats to gather all that information, it seamlessly populates into the engagement letter, which then at the right stage in the process will automatically be sent out to the client. And then they click a link and log in and electronically sign it. And then you can choose whether you want to send it signed or countersign it after they sign it. I love that. And of course, my suggestion and what I would do is leave it to be countersigned after the client signs it. Let them sign it first. There's a number of reasons for that, which could be a whole other segment to talk about. But the bottom line is that's how I would set it up. And I love it. I love that then I can be notified, hey, client signed the contract. And then automatically, once they sign the contract, then I can have it email the next thing out that I need to do. So usually once they sign the contract, the next thing to go out is going to be the invoice. And the invoice will go out and say, great, here's an invoice for the retainer. We need, $8 million to get started. Please pay us immediately. So anyway, I just love that part. Yeah. I love the contract signing process and how easy that makes it. But here's a question for you along those lines, because I know other people at home are going to be wondering this. How enforceable is that electronic signature on that contract? If I have to go to court with somebody, will that hold up?
Oh, absolutely. That will absolutely show up. In fact, not only is it an enforceable signature, one of the great things about having it online is it's time-stamped. We had a woman come up the other day who had an issue with a client, and there was a discrepancy where they claimed they hadn't even seen the contract. And so she could show them not just the timestamp of exactly when they had e-signed it, but she could show them the timestamp of when they had looked at the contract. And so it's absolutely enforceable. That'll hold up in court, and it should give you, it should take that issue off your mind, and so you do not have to worry about that.
Fantastic. So everybody hear that? Very much enforceable. Nothing to worry about there. Yeah. Get it signed, and then you countersign it, and then you've got everything you need. So, all right, so we've got the streamlining of the whole process, right? A lot of things that I would otherwise have to stop and say, okay, now that I've got the contract, now I want to save the contract. What folder do I put it in? And now that I've got the contract signed, I'm going to go into my accounting program and send out the invoice, right? So all this stuff that I'd have to stop and take the time to do, and it might seem insignificant, but it's not insignificant, is it? Because when I do this for 50 clients, even 20 clients, those little stops add up and slow down my day, don't they?
Yeah.
So having this process automated can really help bookkeepers and accountants, I would imagine. And before we get into a demo, because I'm going to ask you to demo the product for us, of course, let's look at the other side of that coin from the perspective of the bookkeeper or the accounting professional. How does it help their clients? How would you say it helps their clients when they're using 17 Hats?
Yeah. Well, I think you just touched on it. What is the client experience typically when we're in communication with them? When they send us an email, they don't know if we have 30 different emails or if we're in the middle of meetings or juggling getting the kids to school or any of that. They don't know, and it's a little bit irrelevant. But they think like, oh wow, it's been longer than X amount of time since I've heard from this person. It seems unprofessional, frustrating. And so how it helps the clients is it gives the clients, first of all, you're able to set into those workflows. Again, all the things that we're automating, you can automate communication into that to where they're in constant communication with you, and then you're able to see all the activity that's going on with them, and all that's seamless. And so giving you these structures, and when people hear automation, they get worried. They get scared that it means it's going to be less relational time with their client. But in reality, it gives you way more because it gives you the structures to allow you to grow that sort of organic relationship. And even just like the experience, like we were talking about being able to send out the proposal, get the contract, get the agreement signed, and even getting the invoice paid for your services. That one in particular, when that goes out to a client, it is a beautifully wrapped solution, like white labeled with your logo on it, where all three are connected, so they can click agree on the proposal instantly via the contract. They can click in and fill that all out, and with the next button, if you wanted to, when they sign that and click OK, it automatically brings them to the invoice. So giving your client this seamless professional experience, it's helping support this idea of the bookkeeper as a trusted advisor and as a reputable source, and yet meanwhile it's keeping you streamlined. So it's keeping your client's time streamlined. It's keeping your time streamlined. It's building that rapport that is so critical for them trusting you with some the most important part of their business. And so that's this system is not only helping you keep things running smoothly, that is going to have a residual effect on absolutely everybody you work with, and that's how it's going to help your clients.
Great. So hopefully that clears it up for everyone, how it's going to help your bookkeeper, how it's going to help your clients. You know what I'd like to do, Ryan, is I'd like to get into a demo, because I know, even though I've seen it, I'm still dying to see you demonstrate it, because I want to see it demonstrated by the pro. So if you want to share your screen.
I have lots of questions. Do you want us to ask while you're doing, hold off till the end?
So Ryan had indicated ahead of time either way is fine. But Sarah, do you have any questions regarding what we've discussed so far before we get into the demo?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. Go ask them.
One was, I'm sure that we can customize and use our own templates for the contracts, because mine are pretty unique per type of client.
Yeah, so you can absolutely customize all the templates. I'm not entirely sure how unique yours gets, but with ours, you can drop in the contract that you've got, and all throughout the contract, you can leave places where the client needs to initial, there needs to be a short answer, or they even need to sign within the contract. So you can, drop in the contract, then build in all those elements. And with that, you can still keep in the tokens. So when you have that contract, when they get to it, it's still their name, their date, their project data, and you're not having to fill that out. That's going to be locked in with the client, the contract, because if it's coming off their account, the system's going to grab all that information for you. So you build the contract once, and you never have to build it again.
Yeah, there's a full text editor, which I was very happy with when I set up mine. I literally took my Word document, copied and pasted it in. I needed to do a little cleanup on the formatting, but basically it was very easy and very quick to, get it sort of converted over to the 17 Hats templates. And there's a whole templates area in your settings area where you can customize all kinds of templates, whether it be the email, the contract itself. Because remember, there's two pieces to this, right? There's the contract, and then there's the email that sends the contract out. So that's two templates in one, in a sense, that you get to customize. So you can really, be very specific about the experience and what it's like from the end user's perspective, the one who's on the receiving end of this stuff.
But we can save multiple templates.
Yeah, and just be careful with how you name things, because what I found was there's a bunch of standard email templates in there, and I was having trouble actually figuring out which ones were the ones I created versus which ones were the system ones. So I renamed them, with Seth dash and then the template name.
Nice.
Ryan, is that you sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Does it look, is it a ZIBWAM photography page?
Yeah,
Good
that's
name.
it.
Yep.
Aha.
That's the one. All right. So I guess, and part of this will, if not all of it, will get answered as Ryan demonstrates the product. So, Sarah, any other questions before we dive in? Or anyone else?
Well, let him get going.
Okay.
I'll get going. All right. Here, I think we're good to go. Our studio manager is being extremely helpful, and they'll be driving the ship. I'll be talking through it. So there should be some magic going on there. So again, earlier I mentioned this lead capture form that you're able to build within 17 Hats. I can build you one in 15 seconds. But let's say somebody went to your Facebook and they wanted to connect with you. They wanted to book you. So even from here, this is the lead capture form from 17 Hats that you're seeing right here. It's one that you could build. You can totally customize it with all the things. So let's say Seth David wanted to hire Cerebellum Photography, for his new headshots on the beach for the, his accounting wall calendar that he's going to be selling soon, or a wedding. He's getting married. So let's say you're getting married soon, Seth. Congrats. So the client can go in. They can pick out what the dates are. They put in all their information.
Hey, don't tell my wife about that, by the way.
I was about to say.
Don't worry. Well, hey, it's like one of those renewing your vows things.
All right, as long as it's with her.
Okay, yeah,
Otherwise,
definitely.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, this
Okay, so this is all custom designed by us.
Yeah. So when you create a lead capture form, it's like you see these different elements. Like, what's your name, your email address, service you require. When you can go into the lead capture tool we have, you can create a new lead capture box, and you literally just click on the different boxes that you want. If you want short answer, if you want long answer, you can have multiple choice, yes, no questions.
And then I assume you give them, give people the code or whatever is needed to get it embedded in a Facebook page like this?
Yeah. Oh, it's one click. You click one. You say, click to export.
Oh, so I don't have to go into like the developers area and add an app and jump through all those hoops like I've often had.
Oh Lord, no. No, yeah. This
It's
is
like adding like a scheduling button too. I mean, usually those apps are really easy. You just click bink, and then it just puts it right on your Facebook page. It'll log into Facebook, ask you if you want to give the app permission, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. So, and again, all this works for Facebook, for email, for website, wherever. So let's say they submit, and so this is where it kind of goes into the experience. So the potential client just submitted that, and this is your 17 Hats dashboard. The whole idea, you can see everything at a glance that's going on with your company, and right there you have the new lead that just came in, Seth David from Facebook. And so we can click on that, and this new lead, and we have all that information. And like you said earlier, all the information about the client is there. And right from this thing, in the top right corner, there you can see the reply button. And so after you read through that information, you can right now reply, and you can use a template. And so you can use one of those templates you've created with the tokens that will already have the name, that can have those different elements. And right there, how many times have you sent that exact same email? So never do the same thing twice. Now, what's next is like, okay, so we've decided what type of client this is. For example, this one would be a wedding that you'd have, and this is a photographer. So we can activate a workflow specifically for what's going to be happening. So like what a typical wedding workflow, and this is going to be walking you through. We can, of course, set the dates for that and activate that. And here we are. So with this wedding workflow, again, you can custom build it to be perfect for you. And just by assigning that, it automatically sent them a questionnaire, again, that you can build within the system. So you're getting all that useful, pertinent information about your client. You're not having to rewrite that email. And this is what the client sees when they get it. This is their experience. It's totally white labeled for you. So they don't see 17 Hats, they see you. And they're able to very easily and very quickly go through. You got engaged yesterday. Congratulations. Your engagement story. We went to the beach. Nice.
And then a question, are you sure you want to do this?
Does your wife know? And of course, this one's a wedding workflow, but I mean, imagine like this for you with bookkeeping and the same sort of questions that you need to know about your client to better understand them, which helps you sell your product to them, but it also helps them because you have all that pertinent information and you're able to get going quickly, and it's such a smooth interaction. So if we go back to that workflow, also if we're on the overview screen, and you can see when they've done this, so you can see in the activity when a client's gone through a questionnaire, and all that will pop up. Yeah, so right there. So when you go back to the workflow, so like let's say I did the questionnaire and that looks great, and this is our test account, so there's a whole lot of information right there. But we went through, we got the questionnaire, and we decided, yes, this client is a good fit. We want to continue working with them. And with this one, again with the automation, we set it up to automatically send out the proposal and the quote. And so the moment we did that, and this is one of my favorite parts, again, so we clicked one button after assigning a workflow thus far. And what the client was able to get was, this is the proposal that they were sent out. So as soon as we decided it was a good fit, they got the proposal. They were able to see the packages that they wanted to select. They were able to already understand the terms of what the product was. So their experience, again, oh yeah, huh?
Now, in a lot of our cases, the client's going to want to get on the phone with us. So I just want to point out to people that, of course, you can put a step in your workflow that sends out your link with your scheduling app, like I use Schedule Once, that says, hey, we're so glad you've decided to work with us. Please click this link to schedule a call. And then you can put a pause in the workflow. It says, hey, wait, don't do the next step until I've confirmed that we've completed that call, because that could impact what this proposal looks like. I have packages, and a lot of times the client says, but I need this and I don't need that. And you almost have to tweak the packages before you send them out the final.
Oh, totally.
That's exactly what I do, Seth.
Right. And that's why my contracts are so individualized too.
Yeah. And so with us, I was just our student manager was telling me like this workflow specifically. So I have one I typically use, but this one specifically actually was like how to stop and was letting you review it before you send it. So you can have it hold off there, you review, you make sure it's perfect for the client, and then you can move forward. But the end result being you're able to go through, you're able to customize it, but the client still has that same, very streamlined experience, which is so important for, again, this whole idea, like they need to see you guys as this guide, as this trustworthy advisor. And the more you can give them a professional looking product, we find that really helps people to understand, like, okay, this is for real, this is legit, this is valuable, and you're creating that value in their minds. So so like with this one, the client can go through, they can say, we want the silver package. They can add additional options, extras, if they want for that. And then at the bottom, they can click accept. It'll timestamp it. And right from there, they can hit view contract. And as we were talking about, so here's where you can drop in your contract. Again, it'll have all your, the client details for the project. So you see Seth David there. You have the date afterwards for his wedding. That's coming up here pretty soon.
I'm so excited.
I know. Save me some cake, bro. And it's easy. They can go through. You can create those places for them to initial. Right, there you go, Seth David. And throughout there again, you can have a place for them to short sign. Then at the bottom right here, they can e-sign it, and it will check to make sure it's their name, saying site contract. There you go, brilliant. And you can have that place where they sign, where you sign, and then from there they can get the invoice.
See, I love that.
Have two contracts for the same client. I started thinking about all my clients that do events, and we'll do separate contracts for the rental versus all the beverage and services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you do multiple types of engagements with the same client, same event?
Yeah, absolutely. So
you can have separate contract templates and then add each of the two into the workflow. You can even go out at the same time, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same
right
event.
So look at that. You can add all these different things to the workflow. So you can send a contract. You can have, and you can decide how that contract is going out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pick from those templates, and you can do that. You can build it into a workflow. You can even go into a client and send it to them from there. But yeah, we should be able to do all of that. This is a very, very, very customizable system. It was meant to get rid of specifically those headaches. So yeah.
Wasn't that funny because
Ryan, we have a question here, and it's. I'm sorry, Sarah, were you not done?
Well, I was going to say that, I signed on this morning thinking in terms of my accounting or bookkeeping business, but now I'm looking at it at a client's eyes and what kind of clients would this work for?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And there are referral codes, Sarah.
Yes, referral
Yeah.
3 months.
affiliates. Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Ryan, Barbara's asking, what would be the invoice setup for recurring billing that's drafted or processed via credit card every month? They have such a cool recurring invoice option.
Yeah.
ACH?
It is
Ryan,
coming.
why don't you go ahead and show
That was actually a big meeting yesterday. It was ACH. So it is in the works.
Oh,
Yeah. We're pretty excited about it. Yeah.
And by the way, so while Ryan's queuing up the recurring invoice part, just a couple more housekeeping things. Remember, if you registered late or you weren't here by the time we started, I didn't get to promote you to a panelist. If you want to be a panelist, just indicate as much in the chat, but bear with me because it's hard for me to, I'm trying to concentrate here on Ryan and what we're talking about here, so I'll do my best to get you in as a panelist. But best thing going forward is if you want to be a panelist, get here early so that I have the opportunity to promote you because it is a bit of a manual process there. And then the other thing is if you have questions, use the Q&A area because the chat feed can, it can get buried. So go into the Q&A and ask your questions there. That makes it a lot easier for me to keep track and make sure that your questions get asked.
Cool. All right. Should I answer the invoicing question?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's look at the,
Okay.
I love the invoicing options.
Okay.
Bring that up on this.
All right, absolutely. And you can totally set up the invoicing for recurring payments with credit card. Even as you saw right there when we were closing out that workflow process, we're set up for people to be able to pay through Stripe, through PayPal, so that they can pay with credit card. And you can set up those payment plans. You can set up reminders for the invoices, because I know that's one of those very thorny things to do is send a client a reminder to pay an invoice. But yeah, you can set up all the recurring payments that you need to do, and you can customize that to fit the client. So there you go. I mean, yeah, you can see this right there. So after X occurrence, yeah, there you go. And the joke from a lot of the people in the company, whenever we're setting up these recurring payments in Office and we're showing people our digital media coordinator, especially, she loves to set up the invoices to go to my email. So I get dozens of invoice reminders for invoices that I need to pay that are entirely fictional. But for us, yeah, you're able to go in, you're able to make that invoice specifically for the client and then set up that payment plan however you would like. Yeah, and there you go. There's the recurring invoice for Ryan Groves.
So if you set up a monthly contract with your client, this is perfect, because then 17 Hats will automatically invoice them. So, even now, before I just got started myself using 17 Hats, every month I had to go through and say, okay, it's the first of the month. Who have I got to send invoices out to, right? And I can set them up in QuickBooks to post monthly, but not to send them, right? So I'd still have to go in and click that send button. So this solves all that. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It just makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I like the monthly bookkeeping fees. I need a few clients like that.
Yeah, that was a good fee. So, and here's kind of the kicker. And you see, we're clicking through all the different invoice options. So you can have Stripe set up to do all these payments. You can have, again, all those invoices tracked to the client. And yeah, and we're also on off of authorize.net. That will work as well. Okay. And then we had mentioned it real quick, but you can send email reminders, the day before a payment is due, and every month past the due date. So again, it's not just remembering like, oh, these invoices need to go out this time, but it's helping with that client experience of helping them know and helping them remember the invoice needs to be paid, and you don't have to have all the stress associated with sending that out. Cool. Great.
So Ryan, we have a couple of other questions, and by the way, if I'm not sure who might be doing this, but if there's a panelist who's answering by text, please make sure that we get these questions live, because other people might have those same questions running through their mind. It looks like somebody answered a couple of these questions already. Let me go to the bottom. So Kathy asked, what about sensitive information requests in the questionnaire? What's the security level?
Man, I'd say our security level, you are the only person who gets this data. We don't get this data. We're not looking through any of this. So this is remaining confidential between you and the client. Because we work with so many people's, the data that's, this is a cloud-based platform, the data that's living on there is so sensitive and is so critical and important for you. That's a very, very strong policy we have. So yeah, this is living on the system, it's secure, and it's staying between you and the client.
Great. And then another question is, so the invoice is recurring but not automatically charged. You're not able to do the automated recurring billing, right? That you would have to work out with the processor, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yes. What was that?
17 Hats isn't actually processing.
Yeah,
you're just providing people with the ability to link up the gateway so that authorize.net or PayPal or Stripe can process the payment. So generally, like with PayPal, you can set up what they call ARB, automated recurring billing, but that has to be set up with PayPal, and that usually costs more.
Yeah, and we're working on that as well. So that is on the roadmap. But that's one of those things where we'll be working with our partners to make sure that happens. Cool.
Great. I think that covers all the questions we've had so far.
All right. Wonderful. So again, we can. I'll just return to the workflow real quick, because it's just a great way to just sort of go through the product. So the client, we've got all the info on the client. We found they're a good fit. They were able to, in one fell swoop, get the quote, get the contract, pay the invoice, and then from there, like now they're a client, and now it's how do we deliver on the product, and what are those? I mean, if we all took time to write it down, there are probably 30 or 40 steps we're doing for every single client, and this is where the system just really can help you streamline all these different client experiences, so you don't ever drop the ball on anything, they don't ever drop the ball on anything, and then so much of it is just automated for you. So we can send out additional questionnaires to get more info. We can have reminders for you on being able to do the job. Like on here, we'll be scouting your wedding venue, Seth. And that's something that the system unfortunately can't do for me, but it can at least make sure that that's something where when I added this workflow, all this was filled out. It was on my calendar.
So you can't get your programmers to program something that hacks into the security cameras for venues to, just give us the video feeds and see what it looks like?
We'll build that into the algorithm
Perfect.
very soon. We'll work with Skynet and but and while I'm there, okay, so speaking of your calendar, speaking of all these things that you have to do for the client, I got so we have the calendar function on here. It's compatible with just about every single calendar system out there, specifically with Google Calendar. And we work with Office 365 as well. So again, all of your calendars are going to sync across the board. It's going to live in one place. Our hope is that you don't have to go to 4 or 5 different websites. You can see what's going on. You can switch between the different calendars that you have. You can add calendars. You can edit them. You can even share the calendar that you have so other people can see it. And it's
a two-way sync, by the way. I remember the very first time I looked at 17 Hats, which I think was over a year ago, it was still just a one-way sync. And I was like, oh, well, that's a pain because I needed to make sure that I didn't double book something. If I booked it on the wrong side, it didn't sync up. So I was so happy to see that it's now a two-way sync.
Yeah.
So that
the calendar, but what about emails? Will it use the Office 365 email, or do I have emails in 2 places? No.
Yeah, so you can connect your email to here, and it is going to be syncing both ways as well. So when you're working on your client, and you can go into that client's page, it'll actually be there on the page with all the relevant information about your client. Will be a little button that has your email. So there at the bottom, you can see where it has notes, emails, files, and you can track all that activity from here. Because of course, you can send them an email from within the system, as you saw when we first replied to them from within. So you don't have to go digging through your inbox to find where is that one piece of data. It's going to be here for you at any time. And of course, you can upload files to this as well, and you can see on there the files, the events, the phone log even. If you need to do time tracking, we have a wonderful built-in time tracking tool that can be created specifically for the project up there at the top, where you can set the amount, set what project it is, or what client, and then as soon as it's running, you can start it, and then when you stop it, it automatically adds that time to the client's invoice. So
even if you're out on your smartphone or your device and you're scoping out a venue, you can set it without being in front of your computer.
Yeah, it's all cloud-based. So if you can get Wi-Fi and get in the system, you can do this. Also, this is really, really exciting to us. We have an iOS app that is set to release in a matter of weeks now. We've had a phenomenal development team working on it for a while, so soon we will have the full, true mobile app experience, both for iPhone and then shortly thereafter Android. We just hired an Android developer, so right now it's cloud-based. You can access this if you have internet, but soon we'll have the wonderful, beautiful, streamlined app experience as well. So, yeah. And so the next thing we should talk about, because I'm talking to bookkeepers, is the bookkeeping feature. And this is critical. Actually, this is a major game changer, of what makes us different from any other system out there, I would say, is, again, we're putting all of this in one place. So our philosophy behind the bookkeeping is keep it simple. So we're integrated with, over 22,000 banks. So you can actually add your bank into the system. And here,
So we can get paid.
Yes. Well, and you can see what's going on. So what the system is doing is we have a bookkeeping feature that's, it's designed to help you. So it's going to be tracking, it takes all of your account activity, multiple accounts, multiple cards that you can track off of here. And it's letting you see all that at a glance. And again, what Seth talked about with automation, you can train it on what categories that expense was. And you can, there we go. Yeah. You can train it on what category the expense was. And then, of course, let's say you need more depth than just that. We have an integration with QuickBooks Online. So if you're already using QBO and you need that extra depth, that extra power, to my knowledge, we're the ones with that integration. So if you still need QuickBooks and you want that power, we have got it for you built into the system. Those two will be talking to each other and swapping invoices, and yeah, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just keep it running.
So if we're still on desktop, but we'll get to QBO. You'll have reports that we could use to say summarize activities, so I could post it manually somehow.
Yeah. So we are. QuickBooks Desktop, of course, has an export feature for your data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we're
well, if you have reports, sometimes just using the reports will be enough.
Yeah. So like, and even from ours, like you can click, up there, and you can get your P&L, you can do sales tax, you can do your UR and your AR. And all of that with just a click. So yes.
So we could categorize, like, for instance, with the events that I work with, we're taking deposits a year in advance. We're not really invoicing them to the date. For accounting purposes, we invoice on the day of the event. We realize the revenue then. So everything comes in as deposits the way we do it. But if we could categorize what we're selling them, is there, when you design your invoice, can we pick a category per?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see on the screen there, you can add a new category. All this is customized.
Okay.
So you can totally build this out. Category, you can apply this to a certain invoice, and then even when you're going back and you're looking at that project and you're looking at that client, you can assign all this to the client to where you can see, what was your net income. You can see how much has been paid, how much has gone out, and how much is left just from there. So you can create those categories. You can manually, go in and change all this if you need to. So if something got logged twice, you can go in there and work on that. But yeah, it should be able to customize all that for you.
Can you have more than one type of category on an invoice?
Yes.
Oh, yes, because I see invoice 10. Well, I guess I'm just seeing the same.
There you go. That's all right. So select an invoice, Ryan Groves, project.
Right.
Do you add item?
Cool.
There you go.
Income category. There we go. So if it's a deposit, it's a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But do these items sync to my item list in QuickBooks Online? Products and services, I would imagine they're not connected. It's just, this is how I track it in 17 Hats.
They don't sync to it, Seth, but they do add it as a new item. So in other words, if you set up a new item in 17 Hats, when the invoice goes in there, it'll automatically add the new account, the new item inside the list. And I think it defaults it as a service.
So then if I use that same item again, it will sync to that same item in QBO.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So it does sync. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it doesn't go both ways, but it will bring anything over there and, continue as, so you could actually build your items.
So wait, I'm sorry, I know this is a little granular. So if let's say I have an item in QuickBooks called CFO services, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in 17 Hats, I create an item called CFO services. The first time, it's going to create another, like how will that, I wonder how that'll actually render.
If you have it named the same, It just automatically, it won't duplicate it.
Oh,
It will
good.
find it
Okay.
and recognize that
It
it's a
will
match.
find out and recognize it. But if you change it just ever so slightly, it'll set up a new one.
Right, I get that.
And
Okay.
same thing with the customers too.
Can you fix it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just gotta make them both match.
Right. Well, that's good. So you don't have to worry about two-way syncing as much as, because it doesn't duplicate. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a few more questions from the Q&A. So Alexa's asking, seems like a lot of time to get it all set up. And I'll vouch, the setup time is you're going to want to plan on setting aside some time to set it up. In fact, my course that's supposedly about to come out any minute now shows you how I actually recommend laying out your workflow in a Word document, or I use a Google Doc, before you go to set it up in here, because it'll save you a lot of time once you are setting up in here. It'll help you make sure it's clear what templates need to get set up, because you need to know what stage in the workflow those templates need to be brought in. So there's a process that I lay out for you in the course that I've done on this product that helps make that process go much more seamlessly when you are setting it up. But of course, the whole point is once you do set it up, it's done, and so the time you spend up front setting it up will save you hours and hours and hours going forward. But let me finish her question. So she says, not something to tackle during tax season. If you can set aside the time on a tax or something, I would say tackle it during tax season. And again, somebody checked this off as having been answered, so the question went away. So panelists, please don't do that, because I'm in the middle of reading and it disappears off my screen. So please don't mark it answered. Seems like a lot of time to get it all set up. Not something to tackle during tax season. Not clear on email integration. If I send an email from my Mac mail, will it show up in 17 Hats, or do all emails have to start inside 17 Hats? Great question.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'll try and answer both those questions. Real quick with the email integration. Here, let me double check. So is that good on that one? Yeah, so with email integration is you can, here, yeah, we've got it pulled up now. Fantastic. So you can choose your email. You can choose where it's coming from. And I'm sorry for not going through this earlier. You know, this system is very powerful, but we try and keep the experience simple. So, you know, you can connect email account. You've got your email, you know, both your outgoing messages and your incoming. So you can see that when it comes in from a client, and you can be reading and responding from there.
So can I just comment on that? Just
Yeah.
I think I know clarification of what she's asking.
Yeah.
So in other words, say for example, if you send an email through 17 Hats to a client, so 17 Hats has your contact set up and you pick an email for them. If I email somebody outside of 17 Hats in my Gmail and they respond back, all that will show up in 17 Hats.
Awesome.
Okay, so it goes based upon your email. So it's awesome, but I do have to say that sometimes when you're looking at your overview and it says you have emails to look at, sometimes there's a lot of back and forth emails that you just have to click dismiss, because they may not be relevant to the specific project.
Yeah,
So-
that's a little annoying. And Alexa, I know you asked a question about Mac Mail specifically, and depending on your mail server, I know with Mac Mail, you want to make sure that you have it set up with IMAP, not POP.
Yes.
Yeah.
IMAP will talk back and forth. POP will only pull down from the
Yeah,
Right.
and that's why we really love Google typically.
It works
Yeah.
amazing with Gmail.
It does, and having the calendar syncing along with it just makes perfect sense to have
Hey,
it.
guys, can
Yeah.
I say something? I just figured out how to use Zoom. Sorry. In regards to doing this during tax season, Alexa, I did this during tax season last year.
Yep.
I completely agree. I believe it may feel overwhelming at first, but the automation to your clients, because my entire tax preparation is online, so I only will work with my clients remotely, and I have a 5-step process. And so I basically created every automated process in 17 Hats, and so now everything happens automatically.
Yep.
So I send the checklist to my clients every year. It's an attachment in Excel. After that, they know when the clock is ticking. After that, they know when I'm working. After that, they know that they're done. I'm ready to review the return with them. And then they're ready to send me their authorizations. We sign them, they pay me, and we're completely done with the process. So it is an investment at first, but the automated efficiencies it's priceless.
Yeah,
And honestly, it's best to do it during tax season because that's when you're on the
doing
ball.
it.
Yeah, it's like you're live, you're doing it, you're remembering the kind of things that you discuss with your clients if you're in tax season. If you try to do it after tax season, your mind's in a different place. Like in my
Vacation.
yeah, exactly. You're on vacation, exactly. So yes, it may seem a little overwhelming, but it is a good time to do it during tax season.
Now, is that as a sole proprietor? Or are you collaborating with staff? What's
No,
the?
it's really right now. I think 17 Hats is just single user.
Yeah, so basically,
right now.
the way I do it, Sarah, is, well, that's not necessarily true because I do have my staff go in there. We share a username. So multi-users coming, they know how important that is. But we basically share a username. I set up all the workflows, and then the user goes, my staff goes in, and he actually can go in and follow the workflow. Yeah. So he goes in and starts all of the checklists for my clients. So the first email says, hey, it's tax season. Let's get started. Here's your tax prep checklist. Check what you need. Send me your documents. And so he can go
your
in
email.
now. He can do that process. Yeah. I don't do that process anymore. He does it. I just created all the workflows.
Right. And it's going out on your email.
It's going out on my email. And just for Joanne's point, Joanne, you don't actually have to do the two-way because I have a couple 17 Hats profiles. The two-way where Joanne says you can see the email in your Gmail account and then you can see your email in the 17 Hats and it says reply to all these emails and there's like hundreds of emails. That was very frustrating for me. Oh. So when I can imagine. Well, no, I couldn't handle that. So one of my profiles does not bring in the emails every time, and another profile does. Yeah. So you can actually have the Gmail set up where when you send the email, it also gets sent through Gmail, but you don't have to get the replies in 17 Hats, or you can turn it on where it's a two-way sync. So it's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything that she said.
Exactly. Well, I think the important thing, though, I mean, especially for me doing it, because I got introduced to this also during tax season last year. I think the biggest payday for me was the fact that it forced me, like Seth said, to write down my workflows and simplify things. And I was actually going through process by process of what exactly I do to onboard a client. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't need this. Let me do this. And it actually streamlined and actually made me operate my business, my consulting and my accounting business. It operated it more efficiently in saying, okay, I'm only going to offer this stuff. This makes more sense. I'm not going to have 1,200 engagement letters. That's crazy. Yeah. I am just going to, and you just really simplify your process and it eases your mind. And then once it's all set up, you have that work up front, but now you just click a button and you just go.
I love hearing that. That was our dream. That was our hope. So, well, and we're also used to the idea, especially with bookkeeping and finance and accounting, we're also used to the idea of like, you need to spend money to make money. You need to invest. And it's that same principle with time of, spend a little time to have a whole lot of time. And it's that little bit of upfront time. And I mean, even if if there is anybody who is daunted by prospects of setting up in the system, first of all, we work very, very hard to be one of the most, I would actually say we are the most simple system like this to get set up on. I see people get set up in a matter of hours instead of a matter of months. And if you want more help, we have one-on-one training calls available. We have live chat 15 hours a day, 24/7 email support. So you can get one of those one-on-one training calls and in 45 minutes to an hour, they've pretty much got you on the track to get everything set up and you're good to go from there. So you can spend a matter of, hours to get your entire business set up in this before the true wave of tax season really begins to swallow us all. And then you can ride that wave rather than being, than getting hit by it every year. So yeah, I mean, it's a great way to invest your time, to save yourself a ton of time, and make sure you can grow your business. And you don't have to worry about, again, chasing all those details. You're worried about growing your business and taking care of your client and getting the work done.
Ryan, we've got a couple minutes left and a couple questions that are unanswered. So I want to see if we can address these real quick.
Absolutely.
Larry's asking about how to connect the calendar. He's asking for a demo. Larry, it's really honestly, if you're using Google Calendar, just be logged into Google. When you go to connect your calendar, Ryan, you want to show us real quick? You just
sure. So you see right there, connect calendar.
Yeah.
And that's your email.
So every Google Calendar has an email address associated with it. So make sure you know which email address is associated with the calendar that you're trying to connect.
And then you hit connect, and you're good to go.
Where are the documents stored? Can we choose like your service or box or?
Yeah. So here we're bringing that up. So let's go to me.
And if it's stored here, where are you storing it?
We're storing it in the magic of the cloud.
I know.
There's no real attachment. They're online documents. They're online templates.
Yeah, so you can you see that you have.
You could attach.
Yeah, you see where you have the relevant files, right there.
Right.
So so if you want to upload a file, you can. So if you have a document you need to upload specifically for that.
Right.
You're able to do that, and that lives on one of the servers that we use. So you can access it from absolutely anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazon. Oh, and Amazon. I've just been told.
I was about to say, probably
I heard that little whisper.
Yeah. Don't I have great friends? I have great friends.
I love
out
that.
here. Team effort. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I start thinking ahead, like, a year from now. I mean, anything that's stored up on your servers, I'd want copies on my own server or in my own place. So, say we're closing down business or something and we're a total flop. No, I'm just kidding. But say for safety purposes, I want copies of all my documents.
Yeah.
Get those from you somehow.
Yeah.
Or say we sell the company. Hey, we're so successful, we sell the company, but I want my documents. Can we contact you to get copies? What would we do?
Yeah, you should be. I mean, my understanding would be you should be able to go and get those files just from the client. So you can go to that project and download the file. Would be my understanding.
Well, I don't want to go file by file, but it's like everything.
I mean, right now, for the moment, file by file.
Okay.
If it helps any, we're not.
Think about that. Think about,
we are not going anywhere. We are, the product is only a little bit more than a year old, but we spent 3 years developing it. We just finished a fantastic Series A funding round. So we have built this company not on a build and sell model. We are actually doing real business with real people with real revenue so that you know that we are not going anywhere and we are building for the long term.
That's impressive for a year.
Okay. Hey, sorry guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but we are at the end of the hour and you have to wrap up. But real quick, because these are quick answers. Any plans for a website plugin where people can place their plans online for purchase? I guess what
marketplace,
so that people can select that plan through the website. Just real quick. Yes, there are plans. No, there aren't.
Not right now. Right now, there are plans to be able to share that data, but no plans for a marketplace as of yet. But great idea, and we can consider that. So there may be soon.
Okay, and then I think the next two questions are essentially the same. Multiple profiles. Can you explain single user in other words, and then ETA and multi-user. Is there a plan in place for multiple users and the ETA if there is?
Multi-user is on the roadmap. I can't give you a confident ETA just yet, but it's one of those things that we should, we will be able to tell you more about here as soon as in the next few weeks. So I'd say just follow back with us. Until then, we have lots of people who are able to work with several users off the same account, and we do know that's important. So that's going to be coming out definitely within 2016. You'll see that roll out. And that answers your question. Yeah.
Fantastic. So Ryan, that's going to be a wrap. We will have the recording of today's webinar up within 24 hours, if not later today, hopefully later today. So of course, Between Wall and Main on the Tumblr site is where we'll post it, and everybody can check that out. And of course, we can continue the conversation and ask the questions in the Between Wall and Main group. Ryan, you're in there, right? so you can.
Yeah, I think I am now.
Questions in there. You will be now.
Yeah.
I know Donovan's in there. So
Yeah.
anyway, ask your
Yeah.
questions, and that's the great thing about Between Wall and Main is we have the developers who make these products in there with us, ready to answer your questions. If you ever get stuck on anything, it's almost better support than going direct through their website, if I may say so myself. Anyway, Ryan, so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This is really awesome.
All right, great. So we'll have you back again soon. And again, let's continue the conversation in the Facebook group at Between Wall and Main.
Love it.
All right, see you there.
See you there. Go Hats.